Hi, it's Marieta. Thanks a lot for tuning in. In this video, I want to give you my tip what to do if your E2 investor visa application was denied by the US Consulate. Stick around. Coming up. Alright, if you're new to my channel, welcome. Make sure to subscribe. And in this video, I want to focus on what to do if your E2 investor visa application was denied by the US Consulate. Now, before I dive deeper, I want to make sure that you know the requirements. If not, and you want to learn about the process, recently I actually uploaded one of my older webinars, but it's still very useful, full of very useful information. I'm going to be linking the video here for you. I think it's 15 minutes long. Check it out. Also, check out my playlist, E2 visa playlist. It has over 300 videos on just this topic. And in this video, I really want to focus on your question. What should I do if my E2 visa application is denied by the US Consulate? So guys, here's the thing. I've been doing E2 visa for 10 years now. I was personally on E2 visa. For those who don't know my story, I went from student to lawyer who was looking for a sponsorship, H-1B visa. I couldn't find one, started my company, got E2 visa, later scale, got E2, EB2 green card. So the whole process I'm actually also explaining in one of my trainings, link below. Now, I know as a matter of fact that over the years, majority of the applications that I work on, we're talking 95% were actually approved. And I was always recommending to do the consular processing because not only it's faster, or it used to be faster, but also because the consular processing is more affordable because the fees are lower than, especially if you do the premium processing in the United States. And third, because once you actually get the visa stamp, you do receive actual visa. And then if you need, you can actually travel back and forth. Especially if you have different type of businesses around the world, or you have 2-3 businesses and you need to actually travel back and forth. So that was the reasoning behind why the consular processing was number one. Since the pandemic, the process was slightly adjusted, especially many US consulates were not processing E2 visa applications, or they stopped processing E2 visa applications unless you were one of the exceptions, right? And this happened actually at the beginning of 2021 as a paradox, because during the Trump administration, the E2 visa were still processed. However, once the Biden administration took over the E2 visa, somehow the US Consulate stopped processing. And until there was the travel ban lift, these US consulates were not resuming E2 visa applications. Now, these days, you do have embassies that are actually processing E2 visa applications, but you do have some embassies that are not necessarily still processing because they are giving the preference to different, especially immigration visa types. But majority of US consulates are actually processing E2 visas. However, here is the problem or the challenge that you might be encountering is that some of these embassies are taking longer than they used to take. Typically, the processing time was 1 month, I would say, if you do the consular processing. 1, maximum 2 months if they request additional documentation. Now, it can be anywhere from 2 months to 1 year, right? This really depends on the country you're from and that particular embassy. I made a video where I did break down the processing times for E2 visa. I will link the video here for you. Check it out in the video. I'm actually giving you the strategy. Is it better to do change of status or is it better to do consular processing? Now, in my opinion, it's still better to do the consular processing because you do have the visa stamp. However, if you are an investor who significantly invested and you are not able to schedule your appointment and your next available appointment is going to be a year from now and you have already invested to the US market, obviously you don't want to wait 1 year. So in that case, you travel to the United States and you change the status and you do the adjustment of status from the B visa to that E2 visa, but you have to be very careful because when you travel to the United States under B visa, which is the tourist visa, with intention to actually change your status in United States, this can actually negatively impact your future, specifically at the US Consulate when you are applying for E2 visa. So if that's the case, if you are experiencing something like this, that you change your status in the United States from B visa to E2 visa, and now you're traveling home and you need a stamp and you're not getting the E2 visa approval, this could be one of the reasons. Rest assured that that is not a valid reason, that is not even a legal reason for you to have this E2 visa application denied. So in that case, I would actually apply again and explain the reasoning behind it, right? Because we all know it was because of the pandemic. It was also because these US consulates were not actually open and they were not processing the E2 visa application. And it was not your fault. Like, maybe your intention wasn't even change the status. Maybe your intention was to arrive to the United States, and then you decided to change the status. So each case is very different. If you need a consultation, you can book it below this video. However, if your E2 visa application is denied, again, based on my experience, majority of these applications over the years, over the 10 years, they were approved when I work with my clients. However, if ever the application was denied, it was because usually there was something wrong with the funds, like the client was not able to properly establish the source of funding. Or in these days, if the intention behind it was that you wanted to change the status, in fact, that in that case, you were intentionally arriving to the United States, that you are planning on changing your status. Again, I would really work on that and explain the reasoning behind it, that actually that was not the case. And if it was the case, make sure that you explain it well. And in my understanding, if you did not breach the law, you can absolutely apply for this E2 visa application again. And there is no limit how many times you can actually apply for E2 visa through US Consulate, right? Also, another option would be you actually travel back to US, right? And you apply for change of status. But here's the thing, with change of status, you are literally in the loop because you will not receive the visa stamp. So every time you change your status, you go from B visa to that E2 visa in the United States. And every time you need to leave the country, you still need to go to the US Consulate and you still need to actually get your approval there if you want to have the valid visa. So therefore, I think it really depends on your individual case. But also, if you're someone who doesn't necessarily need to travel overseas, who doesn't need to leave the country, United States, right now you are in the US, and right now you are actually on E2 visa, consider this. Maybe you can extend your application, your status with the United States for additional 2 years. You can keep extending it. Or maybe you can actually adjust and upgrade it to a green card. That is something I've done personally. And if you want to dig deeper, there is going to be a training below. This training will guide you how you go from that E2 visa to that green card. You can book a consultation with me, because that could be also a strategy for you if you don't want to keep extending forever and ever, right? But again, keep in mind that not every E2 investor would qualify for green card. However, it is absolutely doable. So I hope this is helpful. Let me know what you guys think. And lastly, what I want to say is that whatever happens at your with your case at the US Consulate, keep in mind that you can always correct the error, supply additional evidence, and reapply again. And this can be done multiple times. So you don't worry about it. Like, you just give them what they need and apply again, and you will get your E2 visa. Because actually, to be perfectly honest, when I had that 5% of clients over the years, I mean, maybe it was even less than 5%, maybe it was 1% who did not get approved right away, we would actually, honestly, we would reapply again, we would supply additional evidence, and they were actually approved. Eventually, they were approved. So that's the beauty about you know, E2 visa that you can apply again and again and again. And so in my opinion, it's still more affordable to pay $200 at the US Consulate than actually paying the filing fee in the United States, or the premium, which is obviously a higher fee than you do when you do it through the consular processing. So thank you so much guys for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.